You've ruined the most important day of my life. Get on your knees and blow until every speck of dust is gone, she screamed, her shrill voice echoing through the silent shop. 3 identical 4-year-old girls stared at the silk gown, terrified. One of them, her eyes brimming with tears, knelt down and leaned toward the expensive fabric. At the entrance of the store, the woman's billionaire fiancé froze, the bouquet of roses he was holding slipping from his hand as he watched the true nature of his future wife unfold. What the cruel bride didn't know was that her groom was about to act, and that her outburst of fury would cancel a wedding, uncover a 7-year-old's secret, and reunite a man with the family he truly loved. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Get that filthy child away from my dress. The shrill voice cut through the quiet hum of the bridal shop like broken glass. Every head turned toward the commotion at the center of Forever Bridal, where Ming Jiang stood on a small pedestal draped in $50,000 worth of handcrafted silk and lace. Her perfectly made-up face twisted in fury as she pointed at 4-year-old Zoe, who had frozen in place, eyes wide with fear, a small hand still outstretched toward a pin on the floor. "I'm sorry," Zoe whispered, her lower lip trembling. "I was just trying to help." "Help?" Ming let out a harsh laugh. "You've left a smudge on the hem of my wedding dress. Do you know how much this costs? More than your mother probably makes in a year." Tears welled in Zoe's big brown eyes as she looked desperately around the shop for her mother. Tasha Williams emerged from the back room, pins still clutched in one hand. At exactly the same moment, Marcus Johnson stepped through the front door. Neither noticed the other. All eyes were fixed on the small drama unfolding at the center of the shop. "On your knees," Ming demanded, gesturing toward the floor in front of the little girl. "Get down and blow the dust away." Now. Terrified and confused, Zoe dropped to her knees on the polished hardwood floor, tears spilling down her cheeks. Her sisters, Zara and Zoe, rushed to her side from their quiet corner where coloring books lay abandoned. "That's enough." The deep, quiet voice cut through the tension. Marcus Johnson stood just inside the doorway, a small jewelry box forgotten in his hand, his eyes dark with anger. Ming spun around, nearly losing her balance on the pedestal. "Marcus, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to see the dress before the wedding. It's bad luck." Marcus ignored her, walking directly to Zoe. He knelt down to her level, his expensive suit touching the floor without hesitation. "Hey there," he said gently. "Are you okay?" Zoe nodded uncertainly, tears still streaming down her face. "What's your name?" he asked. "Zoe," she whispered. "That's a beautiful name. I'm Marcus." He looked up at the identical faces of her sisters who stood protectively nearby. "And who are you two?" "I'm Zara," said the one with a small butterfly clip in her hair. "Zoe," the third whispered, not meeting his eyes. Marcus felt something strange twist in his chest as he looked at the 3 little faces. Something about their eyes, the curve of their cheekbones, reminded him of… "What do you think you're doing?" Ming demanded, her voice rising an octave. "We're in the middle of my final fitting. These children shouldn't even be here. This is a high-end bridal shop, not a daycare center." Marcus stood slowly, his 6'2" frame towering over the pedestal where Ming stood. "I said that's enough." Eleanor Green, the 65-year-old owner of Forever Bridal, stepped forward with practiced diplomacy. "Perhaps we can take a short break." "Ming, dear, let me help you step down and we can check that hem. I'm sure there's no real damage." "There'd better not be," Ming snapped. "This dress cost $50,000 and I won't have it ruined by some random child." Marcus's jaw tightened. "They're not random children. They're…" He paused, suddenly realizing he didn't know who they belonged to. "They're my daughters." The voice came from behind him. Marcus turned, and the world seemed to shift beneath his feet. Tasha Williams stood tall despite her petite frame, her chin raised slightly, eyes flashing with protective anger. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and silver-framed glasses perched on her nose. 7 years had passed, but Marcus would have recognized her anywhere. Their eyes met, and for a brief, suspended moment, it was as if everyone else in the room disappeared. Recognition flashed across her face, followed quickly by something that looked like panic. "Tasha," he said, the name falling from his lips without thought. "You know each other?" Ming's voice cut through the moment, sharp with suspicion. Marcus couldn't look away from Tasha. "We used to." "Mommy?" Zoe had gotten up from the floor and rushed to Tasha's side, wrapping her arms around her mother's legs. "I'm sorry about the dress." "It's okay, baby," Tasha said, stroking her daughter's curly hair. "You didn't do anything wrong." She finally tore her gaze from Marcus to look at Ming. "Ms. Zhang, I apologize for any inconvenience. My daughters are usually very well behaved." "They shouldn't be here at all," Ming said coldly. "This is a place of business." "They're here because I allow it," Eleanor interjected firmly. "Tasha is my head seamstress, and she stays late every night to accommodate clients like yourself. Childcare for 3 children would cost more than her entire salary. Now, shall we continue the fitting, or would you prefer to reschedule?" Ming glared but said nothing, allowing Eleanor to help her back to the fitting room. The shop fell quiet, except for the soft classical music playing through hidden speakers. Marcus stood frozen, his eyes moving from Tasha to the 3 little girls clustered around her legs. 3 identical faces with familiar eyes stared back at him. "How old are they?" he asked quietly. Tasha's hands tightened protectively on her daughter's shoulders. 4, she answered after a pause. They turned 4 in April. Marcus did the quick math in his head. 7 years ago, they had been together for 3 intense months before he left for Silicon Valley. 4 years old plus 9 months. "I think we need to talk," he said, his voice barely audible. Tasha nodded slowly. "Girls, go back to your coloring books for a few minutes, okay? Mommy needs to talk to Mr. Johnson." The triplets reluctantly returned to their corner, casting curious glances over their shoulders. "I didn't know," Marcus said as soon as the girls were out of earshot. "I swear, Tasha, I had no idea." "I didn't tell you," she replied simply. "Why?" Tasha glanced toward her daughters, then back at Marcus. "This isn't the time or place. You're getting married in 3 days." Marcus looked toward the fitting rooms where Ming had disappeared, the diamond bracelet in his pocket. His surprise gift for his fiancée suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "Are they—" He couldn't finish the question. Tasha met his eyes steadily. "Yes." Just one word, but it changed everything. Marcus felt the carefully constructed future he had planned crumbling around him. In its place was something unknown, terrifying, and strangely exhilarating. "Can I see you tonight? After work?" he asked urgently. "Please, Tasha. We need to talk about this." She hesitated, then nodded. "I finish at 8 o'clock. There's a coffee shop 3 doors down. I'll meet you there." "Mr. Marcus?" A small voice interrupted them. Zara stood beside them, holding up a folded paper. "I made this for you." "Because you were nice to Zoe." Marcus accepted the drawing, a colorful scribble of what might have been 3 smiling faces. "Thank you, Zara. It's beautiful." When he looked up again, his eyes met Tasha's, and something passed between them. Uncertainty, fear, and a tentative bridge reaching across 7 years of silence. From the back of the shop came the sound of Ming's impatient voice calling for Tasha. The spell broke. 8 o'clock, Tasha said firmly, turning away. "Don't be late." As she walked back to resume her work, Marcus looked down at the drawing in his hands, then at the 3 little girls who had returned to their coloring books. 3 little girls with his mother's eyes, his own eyes, looking back at him from faces he'd never seen before today. His entire world had just been turned upside down in the span of 10 minutes. The wedding, Ming, his carefully ordered life, none of it seemed to matter anymore. Nothing mattered except the truth waiting for him at 8 o'clock. Marcus arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. He chose a quiet table in the back corner and ordered 2 coffees. His mind raced with questions as he waited. The small jewelry box with Ming's diamond bracelet still sat in his pocket, untouched since the incident at Forever Bridal that afternoon. At exactly 8 o'clock, Tasha walked through the door. Her hair was down now, falling past her shoulders, and she had changed from her work clothes into jeans and a simple blue sweater. She spotted him immediately and walked over, her steps measured and deliberate. "You came," Marcus said, standing up as she approached. "I said I would." Tasha slid into the chair across from him. "I don't make promises I don't keep." The implied criticism wasn't lost on Marcus. 7 years ago he had promised to stay in touch when he left for Silicon Valley. That promise had lasted less than 2 months. "The girls are with Eleanor," Tasha said, answering his unasked question. "She offered to watch them at her apartment upstairs from the shop." Marcus pushed a coffee toward her. "I remembered how you take it. Black with 1 sugar. I don't take sugar anymore." Despite her words, Tasha took a sip. "But thank you." Silence stretched between them until Marcus finally spoke. "They're mine, aren't they? Not just one of them, all 3. "Yes," Tasha said simply. "Zoe, Zara, and Zoe are your daughters." The confirmation hit Marcus like a physical blow, even though he'd already guessed the truth. "Why didn't you tell me?" Tasha set her cup down carefully. "When I found out I was pregnant, you had just secured your first major investor. Your company was everything to you. You were working 20-hour days talking about changing the world with your technology. So you decided for me? Without even giving me a chance?" Marcus couldn't keep the hurt from his voice. "I tried calling you twice," Tasha said. "The first time your assistant said you were in meetings all day. The second time you texted back that you were too busy and would call when things settled down." She looked him directly in the eyes. "You never called." Marcus remembered those early days in Silicon Valley. The constant meetings, the pressure, the excitement of building something from nothing. Had he really brushed her off so easily? "That doesn't justify keeping my children from me for 5 years. 4 years, Tasha corrected, and I'm not saying it was right. I'm saying it was the decision I made at the time when I was 25, scared and alone. Marcus pulled out his phone, opening his photo gallery. "Show me," he said, his voice softer now. "Please." Tasha hesitated, then took out her own phone. She scrolled through her photos and handed it to him. "These are from their birthday in April." Marcus stared at the images of 3 identical little girls in party hats, blowing out candles on a homemade cake. He swiped through more photos. The girls at a park, sleeping in a pile like puppies, dressed up for Halloween as 3 little bumblebees. "They have my mother's eyes," he said quietly, "and her smile." "I know," Tasha said. "I looked up photos of her online after they were born. The resemblance is strong." Marcus handed back the phone, his hand shaking slightly. "I've missed everything. Their birth, first steps, first words." "You're here now," Tasha said. "That's what matters going forward." Marcus looked up sharply. "I'm getting married in 3 days." Tasha's face remained neutral. "Yes, to Ming Jiang. Congratulations." "I can't marry her," Marcus said, the realization crystallizing as he spoke the words. "Not now." "Marcus, I didn't tell you about the girls to disrupt your life. I just couldn't keep the truth from you after seeing you today." "It's not about that." Marcus leaned forward. "Did you see how she treated Zoe?" "That's who she is, Tasha. I've seen glimpses before, but I ignored them. Today I couldn't ignore it anymore." Tasha didn't respond, but her relief was visible. "I need to end it," Marcus continued. "Tonight. Then I want to talk about how we move forward with our daughters." "Our daughters," Tasha repeated, testing the words. "They don't know about you yet." "To them, it's always just been me." "How do we tell them?" Marcus asked. "Carefully," Tasha said. They're only 4 years old. We need to go slowly. Marcus nodded, then stood up. I need to deal with Ming first. Can we meet again tomorrow? We have so much more to discuss. Yes, Tasha agreed. Come to the park near my apartment at 10 in the morning. The girls will be at preschool. We can talk freely. Marcus wrote down his phone number on a napkin. Call me anytime, day or night. I will, Tasha promised, taking the napkin. As they walked out of the coffee shop, Marcus felt both terrified and strangely calm. His life had completely changed in the span of a few hours, yet somehow it felt like everything was finally falling into place. Back at the downtown penthouse he shared with Ming, Marcus found his fiancée surrounded by wedding planning documents, her laptop open to her social media accounts where she was posting updates about wedding preparations to her 5 million followers. There you are, Ming said without looking up. Where have you been? The wedding planner called 3 times about the seating chart. Marcus took a deep breath. Ming, we need to talk. Something in his tone made her look up. What's wrong? Is it the venue? Because I told you the Palmer House is non-negotiable. It's the most historic hotel in Chicago. It's not about the venue. Marcus sat down across from her. It's about what happened today at the dress shop. Ming waved her hand dismissively. Oh, that. I was just stressed about the fitting. You know how important this dress is to me. You made a little girl cry, Marcus said firmly. You humiliated her. She almost ruined a $50,000 dress. Ming's voice rose. Those children shouldn't have been in a high-end boutique in the first place. They're children, Ming. 4-year-old children. Why do you care so much? Ming's eyes narrowed suspiciously. You acted strange after that woman came out. Do you know her? Marcus met her gaze steadily. Yes, I know her. Tasha and I were together 7 years ago before I moved to Silicon Valley. So? Ming shrugged. You dated other women before me. That's not news. Those 3 little girls are my daughters. The words hung in the air between them. Ming stared at him, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. That's impossible, she said finally. You don't have children. You would have told me. I didn't know until today, Marcus explained. Tasha never told me she was pregnant. Ming stood up suddenly, her hands clenched. This is ridiculous. She's obviously lying to you. 3 children? Come on, Marcus. She probably saw who you are now and decided to cash in. They're mine, Ming. I can see my mother in their faces. They're my daughters. So what? Ming's voice turned cold. Pay her some child support and move on. We have a wedding in 3 days. 250 guests are flying in from around the world. Marcus shook his head slowly. I can't marry you, Ming. Not now. What? Ming's face contorted with anger. You can't be serious. I am. The wedding is off. Ming grabbed a crystal vase from the coffee table and hurled it against the wall, where it shattered into pieces. You will not do this to me. Do you know what people will say? My followers, my sponsors? I'm sorry, Marcus said, standing his ground. But after what I saw today, both with the children and your reaction now, I know this is the right decision. If you cancel this wedding, I will destroy you, Ming hissed. I'll tell everyone you cheated. I'll sue you for emotional distress. Every tabloid in the country will run with this story. That's your choice, Marcus said quietly, but the wedding is still off. Ming stormed into the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. Marcus immediately pulled out his phone and called Derek Washington, his closest friend and business partner. Derek, I need you to come over. Now. The wedding is off, and I need damage control. 20 minutes later, Derek arrived to find Ming gone and Marcus sitting in the dark living room, surrounded by wedding plans. What happened? Derek asked, turning on a lamp. You've been planning this wedding for a year. I found out I have children, Marcus said. 3 daughters. Identical triplets. Derek sank into the chair across from him. You're going to need to explain that. As Marcus told him the whole story, Derek's expression shifted from shock to concern to understanding. What do you need me to do? Derek asked when Marcus finished. Help me manage the fallout. Ming is threatening to go to the press. We need to get ahead of this." "Consider it done," Derek assured him. "But Marcus, what about the children? What do you want there?" Marcus looked at his oldest friend, his voice firm with certainty. "I want to be their father, Derek. I've missed 4 years already. I'm not missing another day." The next morning, as Marcus prepared to meet Tasha at the park, his phone buzzed with a news alert. The headline made his stomach drop. "Tech billionaire dumps influencer fiancé days before wedding." Ming had wasted no time contacting the press. His phone rang almost immediately. It was Tasha. "Have you seen the news?" she asked, her voice tight with worry. "Yes," Marcus confirmed. "Ming works fast." "She's also been texting me," Tasha said, "threatening my job at Forever Bridal." Marcus felt a surge of protective anger. "She can't do that." "She's trying. Eleanor already called me. Someone from Ming's team demanded she fire me." "What did Eleanor say?" "She told them to go to hell, actually." Tasha's voice held a hint of amusement despite the situation. "She said no one tells her how to run her shop, especially not some spoiled internet celebrity." "I'm glad she has your back," Marcus said. "I'll handle Ming. But right now we need to focus on the girls. Are we still meeting at 10? "Yes," Tasha confirmed. "We have a lot to figure out." Marcus ended the call and stared at the news headline again. The media storm was just beginning. But for the first time in his life, something mattered more than his reputation or his business. 3 little girls he hadn't even properly met yet. 2 weeks later, Marcus stood outside the door of Tasha's apartment building in a quiet neighborhood on Chicago's North Side. The initial media frenzy about his canceled wedding had died down somewhat, though Ming still posted daily tearful updates to her followers. Marcus had moved out of the downtown penthouse they had shared and rented a house in Lincoln Park, only 10 minutes away from where Tasha and the girls lived. In his hands, he carried 3 identical teddy bears with blue ribbons around their necks. His palms were sweaty as he pressed the buzzer for apartment 312. "Hello?" Tasha's voice came through the intercom. "It's Marcus." The door buzzed and unlocked. Marcus took a deep breath and walked inside. Tasha was waiting for him at her apartment door, dressed in jeans and a simple green sweater. "Are you ready for this?" she asked quietly. "No," Marcus admitted, "but I want to meet them properly, as we discussed." Tasha nodded. "Remember, you're just a friend for now. We'll tell them the truth when they're more comfortable with you." "I understand." She opened the door, and Marcus followed her into a small but tidy apartment. Colorful children's artwork covered the refrigerator, and toys were neatly organized in bins along one wall of the living room. "Girls," Tasha called, "come say hello to Mommy's friend." 3 identical little girls appeared from a bedroom, holding hands in a line. They wore matching blue dresses, though each had a different colored hair clip, pink, purple, and yellow, which Marcus guessed was to help people tell them apart. "Hello?" Marcus said, kneeling down to their level. "I'm Marcus. I brought you something." He held out the 3 teddy bears. The girls looked at the bears, then at their mother for permission. "It's okay," Tasha said. "You can take them." Zara, with the purple hair clip, stepped forward first. "Thank you," she said clearly, taking a bear and examining it closely. "Why do you have 3 bears?" "One for each of you," Marcus explained. Zoe, with the pink clip, took a step forward, half hiding behind her sister. "I remember you," she said softly. "From the princess dress shop." "That's right," Marcus smiled. "You were very brave that day." Zoe, with the yellow clip, stayed beside Tasha, watching Marcus with serious eyes. She didn't move to take her bear. "That's okay," Tasha said, noticing Marcus's concern. "Zoe takes time to warm up to new people. Maybe we can all play a game together." "I would like that very much," Marcus said. For the next hour, they sat on the living room floor playing a simple board game with colored pieces. Marcus let the girls win, delighting in their excited giggles when they moved their pieces ahead of his. As they played, he began to notice the differences between the identical triplets. Zara was bold and asked many questions about his watch, his shoes, and why he was so tall. Zoe was quieter but smiled often, carefully following all the game rules. Zoe rarely spoke but watched everything with intelligent eyes, occasionally whispering to Tasha. "Mommy, can we show Marcus our pictures?" Zara asked when the game ended. "If you want to," Tasha said. Zara ran to get a stack of drawings from a small desk. "I drew this one," she said proudly, showing Marcus a colorful picture of 3 stick figures with huge smiles. "It's me and Zoe at the park. It's beautiful," Marcus said sincerely. Zoe shyly offered her drawing of what looked like a flower garden. "This is our window box at school," she explained. Zoe didn't offer a drawing, but she had moved closer to look at her sister's artwork. "Zoe draws the best trees," Zara announced. "Show him, Zoe." After a moment's hesitation, Zoe went to the desk and returned with her drawing. She didn't hand it to Marcus but held it up for him to see. It was indeed a very detailed tree with many branches. "That's amazing," Marcus said. "You're very talented." A tiny smile appeared on Zoe's face before she retreated back to Tasha's side. "It's nap time now, girls," Tasha announced. "Say thank you to Marcus for the bears." "Thank you," they chorused, Zoe's voice barely audible. Tasha took them to their bedroom, and Marcus heard her soft voice as she tucked them in. When she returned, she found him looking at the photographs on her bookshelf, mostly of the girls at different ages. "They're wonderful," he said. "I can't believe I missed so much." "You're here now," Tasha said, sitting on the couch and gesturing for him to join her. "That's what matters." "I want to help financially," Marcus said directly, "not just with child support. I want to set up education funds for them, make sure they have everything they need." Tasha looked uncomfortable. "We've been managing fine." "I know you have. But they're my daughters too. Please, let me do this." After a long pause, Tasha nodded. "For their education, yes. But I don't want them spoiled, Marcus. Money doesn't replace time and attention." "I agree completely," Marcus said quickly. "Speaking of time, I've asked Derek to take over more of my daily responsibilities at the company. I'm going to work from home 3 days a week so I can be available for the girls." "Eleanor has been great too," Tasha admitted. "She's giving me more flexible hours at the shop. I can work on designs at home some days now." "You're still designing? That's great, Tasha." "Just sketches for now. I take night classes in fashion design when I can." They talked for another hour about practical matters, schedules, routines, what the girls liked and didn't like. Marcus absorbed every detail hungrily. "Can I see them again soon?" he asked as he prepared to leave. "Come for dinner tomorrow," Tasha suggested. 6 o'clock. They'll be more comfortable on their home territory. The next evening, Marcus returned with a small photo album. After dinner, mac and cheese that the girls helped make, they all sat in the living room. "I brought something to show you," Marcus said, opening the album. He showed Tasha a photo of an elegant older woman with a warm smile. "This is my mother, Catherine. She passed away when I was in college." Tasha stared at the photo, then at the girls playing nearby. "The resemblance is remarkable, especially around the eyes." "That's why I recognized it immediately in the shop," Marcus said. "They have her smile too." Zara, always curious, came over. "Who's that lady?" "This was my mother," Marcus explained. "Her name was Catherine." "She's pretty," Zara said, looking closely at the photo. "She has eyes like us." "Yes, she does," Marcus agreed, his heart swelling. Over the next hour, Marcus showed them more photos telling simple stories about his mother that made the girls laugh. Even Zoe came closer to listen, though she still maintained her careful distance. When it was bedtime, Tasha asked, "Would you like to help tuck them in?" Marcus nodded, too emotional to speak. In their bedroom, Zoe and Zara eagerly asked Marcus to read them a story. He sat on the edge of Zoe's bed with a book about a rabbit family, the 2 girls snuggled up on either side of him. Zoe sat on her own bed, listening but not joining them. After the story, Marcus said goodnight to each girl. When he reached Zoe's bed, she looked up at him with serious eyes. "Will you read another story?" "Just for me?" she asked quietly. Tasha, standing in the doorway, looked as surprised as Marcus felt. "I would love to," he said, sitting carefully on the edge of Zoe's bed. She handed him a book about a little girl who plants a garden. As he read, Zoe gradually moved closer until she was leaning slightly against his arm, looking at the pictures. When he finished, she said, "Thank you," in her soft voice, then lay down and pulled her blanket up. "Good night, Zoe," Marcus said, gently tucking the blanket around her shoulders. "Good night, Marcus," she whispered. Later, as Marcus prepared to leave, Tasha walked him to the door. "That was a breakthrough with Zoe," she said. "She never warms up to people that quickly." "I'll come back tomorrow," Marcus promised, "and the next day, and the next." "Good," Tasha said with a smile, "because they'll be looking for you now." As Marcus walked to his car, he realized he felt happier than he had in years. The cancelled wedding, the media attention, even the billion-dollar company he had built. None of it mattered compared to the simple joy of reading a bedtime story to his daughter. Over the next month, Marcus visited the girls almost every day. They began to look forward to his arrival, running to the door when they heard his knock. Even Zoe, the most cautious of the triplets, had started to give him hugs goodbye. One Sunday morning in May, Marcus took Tasha and the girls to Lincoln Park. The weather was warm and the park was filled with families. The triplets ran ahead to the playground while Marcus and Tasha walked behind them. "They seem happier," Marcus said, watching Zoe climb the slide ladder. "They are," Tasha agreed. "Having you in their lives has been good for them." "And for me," Marcus added, "I never knew I could feel this way about anyone." Tasha smiled. "That's being a parent. Everything changes." They spent 2 hours at the playground. Marcus pushed the girls on the swings, helped them across the monkey bars, and raced them to the water fountain. Tasha sat on a bench nearby, taking photos with her phone. What they didn't notice was the teenager sitting a few benches away also taking photos. The boy recognized Marcus Johnson, the famous tech billionaire whose cancelled wedding had been in all the news. He posted the photos to his social media account with the caption, "Tech billionaire Marcus Johnson at Lincoln Park with mystery woman and kids. Is this why he cancelled his wedding?" The next morning, Ming Jiang was scrolling through her social media feed when she saw the post. The photos showed Marcus laughing as he pushed 3 identical little girls on swings. A woman sat nearby taking pictures. Ming zoomed in on the children's faces, then sat up straight. "Those are the kids from the bridal shop," she whispered to herself. She immediately called her publicist, Rachel. "I need to meet you for lunch," Ming said. "I just found something about Marcus that changes everything." 2 hours later, Ming sat across from Rachel at an expensive downtown restaurant. "Look at these," Ming said, showing Rachel the photos on her phone. "These are the same children who were at my final dress fitting." The ones Marcus was so concerned about. Rachel studied the pictures. "You think these children are why he cancelled the wedding?" "I know they are," Ming said. "He told me the mother was someone he dated before me. He claimed he just found out they were his kids, but I bet he's been seeing her all along." "That's a serious accusation," Rachel warned. Ming's eyes narrowed. "I know a reporter at the Daily Star. She's been asking for my side of the story since the wedding was cancelled. I think it's time I gave it to her." 3 days later, Marcus was at his office when Derek walked in holding a tablet. "You need to see this," Derek said, handing it to Marcus. The headline on the screen read, "Secret Family Behind Billionaire's Cancelled Wedding?" Below was a picture of Marcus at the park with the triplets. Marcus read the article quickly. It quoted sources close to Ming Jiang, saying she was blindsided by the discovery of Johnson's secret children and heartbroken that he had been lying throughout their relationship. "This is bad," Derek said. They don't directly say the kids are yours, but they heavily imply it. Marcus's phone rang. It was Tasha. "Marcus, there are photographers outside my apartment building," she said, her voice tense. "They were waiting when I tried to take the girls to preschool." "Are you all okay?" Marcus asked, already grabbing his car keys. "We're fine, but scared." The girls don't understand why strangers are taking their pictures and shouting questions. "I'm coming over," Marcus said. "Stay inside." When Marcus arrived, 3 photographers were camped outside Tasha's building. They rushed toward his car when he parked, cameras flashing. "Marcus, are those your children?" One shouted. "Did you cheat on Ming Jiang?" Called another. Marcus pushed past them without answering and hurried into the building. Inside Tasha's apartment, he found the triplets huddled together on the couch. Zoe was crying quietly. "Hey, it's okay," Marcus said, kneeling in front of them. "Those people are just very curious about me because of my job. They're not going to hurt you. They scared me," Zoe sniffled. "I know, and I'm sorry about that." Tasha pulled Marcus into the kitchen. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," she whispered. "My daughter shouldn't have to deal with this." "I'll fix it," Marcus promised. "Come stay at my house. It has security gates and privacy fences. The photographers can't get close." Tasha hesitated. "I don't know, Marcus." "Just until this dies down," he urged. "Please, Tasha, I need to know you're all safe." After a long moment, Tasha nodded. "Okay, but just for a few days." The next morning, Eleanor called Tasha. "There are reporters outside the shop asking about you," she said. "Don't come in the front door when you get here. Use the service entrance in the back alley." "I'm so sorry about this, Eleanor," Tasha said. "Don't you apologize," Eleanor said firmly. "None of this is your fault. How are the girls handling it?" "They're confused and a little scared," Tasha admitted. "Marcus wants us to stay at his house for a while." "That's probably wise," Eleanor agreed. "This will blow over eventually, but right now they're like sharks that smell blood." When Tasha arrived at work through the back door, Eleanor was waiting. "I think you should consider making a public statement," Eleanor suggested as they arranged wedding veils in the display case. "Control the story before it controls you." "Marcus says the same thing," Tasha sighed. "But I don't want to put the girls in the spotlight more than they already are." "Sometimes," Eleanor said gently, "the only way out is through." That afternoon, another problem arose. Marcus received a call from Zara's preschool teacher. "Mr. Johnson, I think you should come right away," she said. "There was an incident with a photographer. Zara is very upset." Marcus rushed to the preschool. When he arrived, he found Zara crying in the office while a teacher tried to comfort her. "Daddy!" she cried when she saw him running into his arms. It was the first time any of the girls had called him Daddy, but Marcus had no time to process his emotions. "What happened?" he asked the teacher. "A man with a camera came to the fence during outdoor playtime," she explained. "He called Zara by name and asked if she was your daughter. She got scared and started crying. We brought all the children inside immediately." Marcus felt rage building inside him. "Is he still out there?" "I think so. The principal called the police, but they haven't arrived yet." Marcus found the photographer leaning against a car across from the preschool. He stormed across the street. "You terrified my daughter," Marcus said, his voice low and dangerous. The photographer raised his camera. "So you admit they're your daughters?" "Care to comment on—" Marcus knocked the camera aside. "She is 4 years old. Stay away from my children." "Hey!" the photographer shouted. "That's assault! I'm just doing my job." Marcus stepped closer. "Your job is harassing preschoolers? You're lucky I don't—" "Marcus, stop!" Derek's voice came from behind him. Derek had followed him to the school after getting a worried call from Tasha. "He's not worth it. The police are coming." Derek pulled Marcus away just as a police car arrived. The photographer immediately began complaining that Marcus had assaulted him. He was photographing children at the preschool without permission, Derek told the officers. He called a specific child by name and frightened her. After taking statements, the police warned the photographer about trespassing near the school, but also cautioned Marcus about threatening behavior. That evening, after the girls were asleep in Marcus's guest room, Tasha and Marcus sat in his living room. "We need to make a statement," Marcus said. "This isn't going to stop on its own." "I know," Tasha admitted. "After what happened to Zara today, I can't let them go through that again." "We keep it simple," Marcus suggested. "Just confirm that I recently learned I'm their father, that we're focusing on our children's well-being, and request privacy." Tasha nodded. "Okay, for the girls." Just then, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. He read it and frowned. "What is it?" Tasha asked. Marcus showed her the screen. "Hope you're enjoying playing Happy Families, but this is just the beginning. I know more than you think. Ming." "What does she mean?" Tasha asked, her face pale. "I don't know," Marcus admitted, "but I'm not going to let her threats stop us from doing what's best for our daughters." Outside the house, behind the security gate, 3 news vans were parked on the street, waiting for a story that was about to become much bigger than anyone expected. The next morning, Marcus and Tasha sat at his kitchen table, reviewing the statement Derek had written. The news vans remained outside the gate, their presence a constant reminder of the public interest in their private lives. "This looks good," Tasha said, reading the simple paragraph. "It says enough without saying too much." Marcus nodded. "Once we release this, there's no going back. The whole world will know." "The world already thinks it knows," Tasha pointed out. "At least this way we control what's being said." The statement read, "Marcus Johnson confirms he recently learned he is the father of Tasha Williams's 4-year-old triplet daughters. They are focused on their children's well-being and request privacy during this family transition." "Are you ready?" Marcus asked. Tasha took a deep breath and nodded. "For the girls." Derek released the statement to the press at exactly 9 o'clock that morning. Within an hour, it was on every news website and social media platform. By noon, the story had evolved from speculation to fact, and public opinion was rapidly shifting in their favor. "Look at these comments," Derek said, showing them his tablet later that day. "People are sympathetic. They like the idea of a billionaire discovering he has children and stepping up to be a father." "What about Ming?" Tasha asked. "Has she responded?" Derek grimaced. "She's scheduled to appear on Morning Talk with Kelly tomorrow. Exclusive interview." "Of course she is," Marcus sighed. The following day, Ming appeared on the popular morning talk show wearing a modest white dress and minimal makeup, her usual glamorous style replaced by a softer, more vulnerable look. "I was completely blindsided," she told the sympathetic host. "We were 3 days away from our wedding when I discovered he had 3 children with another woman." But according to Marcus Johnson's statement, he only recently learned about the children himself, Kelly pointed out. Ming gave a sad smile. "That's what he claims. But I have to wonder. 3 children? Not just 1, but 3? And he never suspected anything for 4 years? It seems hard to believe." Behind the scenes, Ming was taking more direct action. After the interview, she met with a private investigator in her hotel suite. "I want everything on Tasha Williams," she instructed. "Where she grew up, her family, work history, finances, anything I can use." "Use for what?" the investigator asked. "Leverage," Ming replied coldly. At Marcus's house, the triplets were playing in the backyard, enjoying the large swing set he'd had installed. Inside, Marcus and Tasha sat on the couch, watching them through the window. "We need to tell them," Tasha said quietly. "They're confused about why we're staying here, why people are taking their pictures. They deserve the truth." Marcus nodded, his expression serious. "How do we do it?" "Simply," Tasha said, At this age, they need basic facts without complicated explanations. When the girls came inside for lunch, Marcus and Tasha sat them down in the living room. "We have something important to tell you," Tasha began. The triplets looked at them with wide, identical eyes. "You know how Marcus has been spending a lot of time with us lately?" Tasha continued. The girls nodded. "Well, there's a reason for that," Tasha said. "Marcus is your daddy." Silence filled the room. Zara was the first to speak. "I knew it," she said matter-of-factly. "He has eyes like us." Zoe looked at Marcus thoughtfully. "Why didn't you live with us before?" Marcus moved to sit on the floor in front of them. "Because I didn't know about you," he said honestly. "I didn't know I was your daddy until I saw you at the dress shop." "Why didn't you know?" Zoe persisted. Marcus looked at Tasha, unsure how to answer. "Sometimes grown-ups lose touch with each other," Tasha explained. "Daddy and I weren't together when you were born, and he was living far away in California. But now I know," Marcus added, "and I'm not going anywhere. I want to be your daddy forever." Zoe and Zara seemed satisfied with this explanation, but Zoe, who had remained silent, suddenly asked the hardest question. "If you're our daddy, why weren't you there for our birthdays? Or when I was sick?" "Mommy was always there." Marcus felt his heart breaking. "I would have been there, Zoe. Every single time, for every birthday, every sickness, every important moment. I would have been there if I had known about you." Zoe studied his face for a long moment, then nodded slightly, accepting his answer even if she didn't fully understand. "Do we have to call you Daddy now?" she asked. "You can call me whatever makes you comfortable," Marcus assured her. "Marcus is still fine." "I want to call you Daddy," Zara announced. "Me too," Zoe agreed. Zoe didn't say anything, but she didn't object either. Later that week, Marcus took Tasha to see a house in Chicago's North Shore area. "It's too big," Tasha protested as they walked through the spacious rooms. "It has 2 separate living areas," Marcus pointed out. "You and the girls can have your own space, and so can I. We can co-parent without living on top of each other." Tasha walked to a large bay window overlooking the backyard with its mature trees. The girls would love that yard. "And it's in a gated community," Marcus added. "Security is excellent. No more photographers lurking outside." "How soon could we move in?" Tasha asked, making her decision. 2 weeks, Marcus replied. "I'll make it happen." The following Monday, Marcus called a special meeting of his company's board of directors. Derek sat beside him as he addressed the group. "Effective immediately, I'm stepping back from daily operations," Marcus announced. "I'll remain involved with major decisions and product development, but Derek Washington will serve as interim CEO. The board members exchanged concerned glances. "Is this about the recent publicity?" one asked. "It's about my daughters," Marcus replied firmly. "I missed the first 4 years of their lives. I won't miss any more." Later that day, he helped Tasha set up her laptop at his dining room table. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, looking at the online fashion design course she'd just enrolled in. "Absolutely," Marcus said. "You put your dreams on hold to raise our daughters. It's time you pursued them again." "Do." Tasha clicked the Enroll button, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Thank you," she said quietly. For 2 weeks, things seemed to be settling into a new normal. The triplets were adjusting to having their father in their lives. The family moved into the North Shore house, with Tasha and the girls taking the East Wing while Marcus set up in the West Wing. They shared the kitchen, living room, and yard as common areas. Then the lawsuit arrived. Marcus was in his home office when Derek called. "Ming filed a lawsuit this morning," Derek said without preamble. "She's claiming emotional distress and fraud. She alleges you knew about your children all along and deliberately concealed them during your relationship." "That's ridiculous," Marcus exclaimed. "How could I hide something I didn't know about?" "It gets worse," Derek continued. The lawsuit documents have already been leaked to the press. This was never about winning in court. It's about public humiliation. That evening, after the girls were asleep, Marcus showed Tasha the online articles about the lawsuit. "I'm so sorry," she said. "This is all because of me." "No," Marcus said firmly. "Ming is doing this because I canceled the wedding. You and the girls are just convenient targets." Tasha looked exhausted. "What do we do now?" "We fight back," Marcus said. "But first, we need to get some rest." Late that night, unable to sleep, Marcus sat in his home office reviewing old emails on his laptop. He was searching for anything that might help counter Ming's claims when he noticed a folder marked Spam, Archived, that he'd never looked through. Curious, he opened it. Most of the emails were obvious junk, but one from 6 years ago caught his eye. The sender was Tasha Williams. His heart pounding, Marcus clicked on the email. The message was short. "We need to talk. I'm pregnant." Marcus stared at the screen in shock. Tasha had tried to tell him. 6 years ago she had reached out, and somehow the message had been diverted to his spam folder. But how? And why? Marcus couldn't remember ever seeing this email. Someone with access to his accounts must have seen it and deliberately made sure he never found it. As the implications dawned on him, Marcus realized they had stumbled onto something much bigger than a vengeful ex-fiancé. Someone had intentionally kept him from knowing about his children, and he was determined to find out who. Marcus rushed to Tasha's room, barely noticing that it was almost midnight. He knocked urgently on her door. "Tasha, are you awake? I need to show you something." Tasha opened the door, wearing pajamas and looking worried. "What's wrong? Are the girls okay?" "The girls are fine," Marcus assured her, "but I found something." "Come to my office." In his home office, Marcus pointed to his laptop screen where Tasha's 6-year-old email was displayed. "You did try to tell me," he said. "Look at the date. This was sent 6 years ago when you first found out you were pregnant." Tasha stared at the screen, then sank into a chair. "I remember writing that. I changed my mind the next day and decided not to tell you after all, but—" She looked up at him, her eyes wide. "You never saw it?" "Never. It went straight to my spam folder. I just found it now." "So when I thought you were ignoring me—" "I wasn't," Marcus finished. "I had no idea." Tasha covered her face with her hands. "All these years I thought you'd seen it and chosen not to respond." Marcus knelt beside her chair. "I would have come back immediately if I'd known. But how did it end up in spam? It wasn't a long message or suspicious." "That's what I need to find out," Marcus said. "Someone with access to my email must have done this." The next morning, Marcus called Derek to his home office. They sat together reviewing the email server logs from 6 years ago. "Look at this," Derek said, pointing to the screen. "Your email was accessed by an admin account 20 minutes after Tasha sent her message. The message was marked as spam and moved to the archived folder." "Who had admin access to my accounts back then?" Marcus asked. Derek pulled up old employee records on his tablet. "You had 2 executive assistants in that office, Janet Miller, who retired 5 years ago, and Ryan Taylor, who worked for you for 18 months. "Ryan Taylor," Marcus repeated, frowning. "Why does that name sound familiar?" Derek typed something into his tablet, then showed Marcus the screen. "Ryan Taylor is Ming Jiang's cousin." Marcus stared at the information in shock. "Her cousin? That can't be a coincidence." "It gets worse," Derek said. "According to LinkedIn, after leaving your company, he went to work for Ming's management team for 3 years. He only left last year." "So Ming placed her cousin in my company as my assistant," Marcus said slowly. "He saw Tasha's email, hid it from me, then went to work for Ming. And years later, Ming happens to meet me and we get engaged." "It seems like this was planned from the beginning," Derek agreed. Marcus stood up, pacing the office. "I need to talk to Ryan Taylor." 2 days later, Marcus met Ryan Taylor at a downtown coffee shop. Ryan was a thin man in his early 30s, looking nervous as Marcus sat down across from him. "Thanks for meeting me," Marcus said. "Your message sounded urgent," Ryan replied. "How can I help my former boss?" Marcus placed his phone on the table, the screen showing Tasha's old email. I want to know why this message went to my spam folder 6 years ago. Ryan's face paled as he looked at the screen. I don't know what you're talking about. The server logs show someone using admin access marked this email as spam shortly after it arrived. You had that access. Ryan's eyes darted around the coffee shop as if looking for an escape. It was a long time ago. Did Ming ask you to spy on me? Marcus pressed. Ryan's shoulders slumped. She's my cousin. She asked me to keep an eye on you, let her know who you were dating, that kind of thing. And when you saw this email? I told her about it, Ryan admitted. She said it would ruin your future if some random woman trapped you with a baby. She told me to make sure you never saw it. So you sent it to spam. Ryan nodded miserably. Ming always said you two would end up together someday. She had it all planned out. How did she know about Tasha in the first place? Marcus asked. I don't know, Ryan said. She already knew who Tasha was when she asked me to work for you. She showed me Tasha's picture so I'd recognize any emails from her. When Marcus returned home, he found Tasha in the kitchen preparing lunch for the girls. She had settled into a routine in the new house, maintaining her job at Forever Bridal while creating a stable home environment for the triplets. How did it go? She asked quietly, not wanting the girls to overhear. Ryan confirmed everything, Marcus told her. Ming orchestrated the whole thing. She had him hired as my assistant specifically to monitor my communications. Tasha looked stunned. But why? She didn't even know you back then. I think she did know about me, Marcus said. My company was starting to get attention. She targeted me before I was even rich or famous. In the backyard, the triplets were playing on the swing set Marcus had installed. Through the kitchen window, he could see all 3 girls swinging at different heights, laughing together. They're happy here, Tasha observed. Zoe asked this morning if we're going to live here forever. What did you tell her? Marcus asked. I told her this is our home now, Tasha said. All of us. That weekend, Marcus's Aunt Susan came to visit. She was his mother's sister and his only living relative, a warm-hearted woman in her 60s who had flown in from Detroit. They look just like Catherine, she said with tears in her eyes when she met the triplets. Those eyes, that smile, it's like seeing her again. The girls took to her immediately, especially when she brought out old photo albums showing their grandmother as a young woman. Was she a princess? Zoe asked, looking at a photo of Catherine in a formal dress. Susan laughed. No, sweetheart. She was a teacher, but she was very special, just like you 3. Later, while the girls were napping, Susan pulled Tasha aside in the kitchen. I want to thank you, she said, pressing something into Tasha's hand. Tasha looked down to see a small wooden jewelry box with delicate carvings. It's beautiful. It was Catherine's, Susan explained. I've kept it all these years, waiting for the right person to give it to. You raised those girls with so much love, all on your own. Catherine would have adored you for that. Tasha's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. That means so much to me. Meanwhile, Marcus and Derek had hired private investigator Samantha Reed to gather information on Ming. Samantha met them in Marcus's home office with her findings. Ming has known about Tasha for years, Samantha reported, showing them her evidence. I found online searches for Tasha Williams dating back to before Ryan ever worked for you. She's been monitoring Tasha's social media accounts since the girls were born. How did she even know about Tasha in the first place? Marcus asked. That I'm still figuring out, Samantha admitted. But here's something interesting. Ming specifically sought out Forever Bridal for her wedding dress after confirming Tasha worked there. Marcus and Derek exchanged shocked looks. She wanted to flaunt her wedding to Tasha, Derek realized. That's why she was so nasty to Zoe at the fitting. It wasn't random at all. There's more, Samantha continued. Despite her social media wealth display, Ming is deeply in debt. Her influencer income has dropped by 40% in the last year as younger competitors emerged. She's been living on credit cards and loans. So this was never about love, Marcus said. It was always about money. The next evening, Marcus received an email from Ming's lawyer. She's offering to drop the lawsuit, Marcus told Tasha as they sat on the back porch watching the girls play, for $5 million. That's what this has always been about, hasn't it? Tasha said. Not revenge, just money. Marcus nodded. Now we know why she targeted me from the beginning. She never loved me. She just wanted my wealth. Tasha looked out at their daughters. What are you going to do? I'm not giving her a cent, Marcus said firmly. She deliberately kept me from my children for years. That's unforgivable. She'll keep coming after us, Tasha warned. Let her try, Marcus replied. Now that we know the truth, we can fight back. Inside the house, the phone rang. It was Samantha Reed with new information that would change everything. Marcus rushed back inside to take the call, leaving Tasha on the porch. Samantha, what did you find? He asked, putting the phone on speaker so Tasha, who had followed him in, could hear. I've been looking into Ming's background. Samantha's voice came through clearly. This isn't her first attempt at targeting wealthy men. She's been engaged twice before you, both times to wealthy business owners. Both engagements ended abruptly, and both men paid significant settlements to keep things quiet. She's done this before, Marcus said, looking at Tasha. It's a pattern. That's not all, Samantha continued. I've uncovered communications between Ming and Ryan going back 7 years. They were planning this long before you ever met her. She specifically targeted you because your company was starting to take off. After ending the call, Marcus turned to Tasha. I need to call our lawyers. We're not settling with Ming. We're going to fight back with everything we have. I agree, Tasha said firmly. She kept you from knowing your daughters for years. That's unforgivable. The following week, life continued, despite Ming's lawsuit hanging over them. The triplets' 5th birthday was approaching and Marcus was determined to make it special. What do the girls usually do for their birthday? He asked Tasha one evening after the children were asleep. Nothing big, Tasha admitted. We usually have a small cake at home. Last year, Eleanor came over with presents. This year will be different, Marcus promised. They should have a real party with friends and decorations. Tasha smiled. I'd like that. They're starting to make friends at their new preschool. They decided to host the birthday party in their backyard. Marcus hired a professional party planner who created a magical garden theme with butterfly decorations and twinkling lights. He also booked a professional photographer to document the day. Is that necessary? Tasha asked when he mentioned the photographer. I've missed 4 birthdays, Marcus said quietly. I don't want to miss a single moment of this one. Tasha understood. She spent evenings working on special dresses for the girls, designing each one to reflect their individual personalities while still coordinating as a set. The morning of the party, Marcus watched in amazement as Tasha helped the girls into their birthday dresses. Zoe's was light blue with silver butterflies, Zara's was purple with stars, and Zoe's was green with tiny flowers. You made these? He asked, touching the delicate fabric of Zoe's sleeve. Yes, Tasha said. I've been working on them after the girls go to bed. They're beautiful, Marcus said. You're incredibly talented. The party was a success. 15 children from the girls' preschool came with their parents. There were games in the yard, a butterfly release that made the children squeal with delight, and a 3-tiered cake decorated with garden fairies. During the party, Marcus's Aunt Susan pulled Tasha aside. I have something for you, Susan said, handing Tasha a small box. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with 3 small birthstones. It's beautiful, Tasha gasped. It was Catherine's, Susan explained. I had it resized and added the girls' birthstones. You're their mother, but they're a part of Catherine too. I thought you should have this. Tears filled Tasha's eyes. Thank you. This means so much to me. Later, as the party wound down, Marcus found Tasha watching the girls play with their new toys on the lawn. "Happy?" he asked. "Very," she answered. "This is the best birthday they've ever had." "A first of many," Marcus promised. The following Monday, Tasha returned to work at Forever Bridal. Eleanor called her into the office before the shop opened. "I've been looking at those design sketches you showed me," Eleanor said. "The children's formal wear collection." "They're just ideas," Tasha said modestly. "They're excellent," Eleanor corrected. "I want to offer you a new position, design assistant. You'll still do alterations, but you'll also have time to develop your children's collection." "Are you serious?" Tasha couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Completely serious," Eleanor smiled. "Your talent shouldn't be limited to fixing other people's designs." That evening, Tasha shared the news with Marcus over dinner after the girls were in bed. "That's wonderful," he exclaimed. "I always knew you were talented." "It's just a small step," Tasha said, "but it means a lot to me." "Have you thought about starting your own line someday?" Marcus asked. "I could help with the business side of things." Tasha looked hesitant. "I don't know. Starting a business is risky. So is creating a tech company," Marcus said. "But sometimes the risk is worth it. Just think about it." As the weeks passed, Marcus and Tasha fell into a comfortable co-parenting routine. Every Sunday evening, they held a family meeting to discuss the coming week's schedule, who would take the girls to preschool, who would pick them up, and any special events or appointments. The triplets flourished under this arrangement. They loved having both parents actively involved in their lives, and even Zoe had fully embraced calling Marcus Daddy. Then, in the middle of the night, their routine was shattered by crisis. "Daddy! Mommy!" Zoe's frightened voice woke them both. "Zara's really sick!" Marcus and Tasha rushed to the girls' bedroom to find Zara burning with fever, her small body shaking. "She's burning up," Tasha said, her voice tight with worry. "And she's having trouble breathing." "I'll get the car," Marcus said. "We need to take her to the emergency room." Within minutes, they were rushing to the hospital, Zara wrapped in a blanket in Tasha's arms while Marcus drove. Zoe and Zoe, still in their pajamas, sat quietly in the back seat, their faces pale with worry. At the hospital, doctors quickly diagnosed Zara with severe croup that had escalated dangerously. They administered medication and put her on oxygen support. "Will she be okay?" Marcus asked the doctor, his voice shaking. "She should be fine," the doctor assured them. "We caught it in time. But she'll need to stay overnight for observation." Marcus and Tasha spent the night in Zara's hospital room, taking turns holding her hand while the other managed Zoe and Zoe in the waiting area. "I never knew fear like this existed," Marcus whispered to Tasha as they watched Zara sleeping, her breathing finally easier. "When I saw her struggling to breathe, that's parenthood," Tasha said gently. "The fear never goes away. You just learn to live with it." By morning, Zara was much improved and allowed to go home. The experience had cemented something between Marcus and Tasha, a partnership forged in crisis that went beyond mere co-parenting. A week later, Samantha Reed arrived at the house with a thick folder. "I have everything we need," she announced, spreading documents across Marcus's desk. "Ming researched Tasha online 5 years ago, long before she ever approached you. Here are the search records from her old laptop that Ryan gave me access to." "So she knew about Tasha from the beginning," Marcus said. "Yes. And there's more," Samantha continued. "She specifically selected Forever Bridal for her wedding dress after confirming Tasha worked there. She wanted to flaunt her engagement to the mother of your children." "That's just cruel," Tasha said, looking at the evidence. "It gets worse," Samantha said. "Despite her social media image, Ming is deeply in debt. Credit card statements, loans, mortgages on properties that are underwater. She's been living beyond her means for years, counting on marrying wealthy to solve her problems." "So this lawsuit is desperation," Marcus realized. "She needs money badly." "Exactly," Samantha nodded. Her sponsors have been dropping her since the wedding cancellation. Her income is down by 60% in the last 3 months. Marcus looked at Tasha. Now we know why she's so desperate for a settlement. But we won't give in. We have the truth on our side now. Tasha reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. Yes, we do. Outside in the garden, the triplets played on the swing set, unaware of the adults' conversation. Their laughter floated through the open window, a reminder of exactly what Marcus and Tasha were fighting to protect. With the evidence Samantha had gathered, Marcus and his legal team developed a plan to end Ming's lawsuit once and for all. We need her to admit what she did, Marcus's lawyer explained. If we can get her recorded confession about orchestrating this whole scheme, her lawsuit falls apart immediately. How do we do that? Tasha asked. We set a trap, the lawyer said. Marcus invites her to his office to discuss a settlement. We set up recording equipment in the meeting room and adjacent office. She won't expect us to have evidence of her prior schemes. Will it work? Tasha asked, looking concerned. People like Ming always talk too much when they think they're winning, Samantha explained. She believes Marcus is desperate to settle. Her overconfidence will be her downfall. Marcus nodded. Let's do it. Tomorrow afternoon. That evening, Marcus spent extra time with his daughters, reading them 3 bedtime stories instead of the usual one. As he tucked Zoe in, she wrapped her small arms around his neck. I love you, Daddy, she whispered. It was the first time she had said those words to him. Marcus held her close, his heart full. I love you too, Zoe, so very much. After all 3 girls were asleep, Marcus found Tasha in the kitchen making tea. You okay? She asked, noticing his emotional expression. Zoe told me she loves me, he said simply. Tasha smiled. She's been waiting to say that. She told me last week she wanted to make sure you would stay forever before she told you. I'm not going anywhere, Marcus promised. Ever. The next morning, Marcus called Ming's lawyer and arranged a meeting to discuss settlement terms. The meeting was set for 2 o'clock at Marcus's downtown office. Are you sure about this? Tasha asked as they prepared to leave the house. What if she doesn't admit anything? She will, Marcus said confidently. Ming loves to brag about how clever she is. Aunt Susan arrived to watch the girls for the afternoon. We're going to the Children's Museum, she told them excitedly. We can see the butterfly exhibit. The triplets cheered, Zara jumping up and down with excitement. Be good for Aunt Susan, Tasha reminded them, kneeling to hug each girl goodbye. We will, Mommy, they promised in near-perfect unison. At 10 minutes before 2, Marcus settled behind his desk while Tasha and the lawyers waited in the adjacent room with the recording equipment. They could see and hear everything through a one-way glass partition disguised as a decorative wall panel. At exactly 2 o'clock, Ming arrived. She wore an expensive cream-colored suit and minimal jewelry, looking more like a serious businesswoman than a social media influencer. Marcus, she greeted him with a cool smile. I'm glad you've come to your senses about settling this matter. Have a seat, Marcus gestured to the chair across from his desk. Would you like some water? No, thank you, Ming said, placing her designer handbag on the floor beside her. Let's get straight to business. My lawyer said you're ready to discuss my settlement terms. Before we talk numbers, Marcus said calmly, I'd like to understand exactly what happened between us, Ming, for my own closure. Ming's expression softened into practiced sympathy. I know this must be confusing for you. Finding out about those children so suddenly, making rash decisions. It was certainly a shock, Marcus agreed, especially since I had no idea they existed. That's your claim, Ming said, her voice taking on a slight edge. But surely there were signs over the years. Marcus pulled a folder from his desk drawer and removed a printed email. Like this email from Tasha telling me she was pregnant? The one that mysteriously went to my spam folder? Ming's composure slipped slightly. I wouldn't know anything about that. That's interesting, Marcus continued, "because your cousin Ryan told me a different story. He said you instructed him to hide any communications from Tasha." "Ryan is confused," Ming said quickly. "He always had a wild imagination." Marcus pulled out another document. "Then how do you explain these communications between you and Ryan from 7 years ago, discussing your plan to monitor my relationships?" Ming's face hardened. "Where did you get those?" "Ryan kept everything," Marcus said. "He felt guilty about what you made him do." "This is ridiculous," Ming snapped. "Ryan worked for you years before we met. It was coincidence." "Was it also coincidence that you specifically chose Forever Bridal for your wedding dress after confirming Tasha worked there?" Ming's eyes widened slightly. "You can't prove that." Marcus slid another paper across the desk. "Your search history says otherwise. You looked up Tasha Williams dozens of times over the years. You knew exactly who she was when we got engaged." Ming stood up abruptly. "This meeting is over. My lawyer will—" "Please sit down," Marcus said firmly. "We haven't discussed your financial situation yet." This caught Ming off guard. She slowly returned to her seat. "My finances are not your concern." "They became my concern when you demanded $5 million from me," Marcus replied, "especially considering your significant debt." "What debt?" Ming's voice rose slightly. "The 6 credit cards maxed out at their limits, the 2 mortgages you can barely pay, the loans from 3 different banks." Marcus tapped another folder. "You need money desperately since your sponsors started dropping you." Ming's carefully constructed facade was crumbling. "This is harassment." "No, this is the truth," Marcus said. "You targeted me years ago when my company started becoming successful. You placed your cousin as my assistant to monitor me. When you learned about Tasha's pregnancy, you made sure I never saw that message." "You can't prove any of this," Ming insisted, though her voice lacked conviction. Marcus pulled out one last item, a framed photo of himself with the triplets taken at their birthday party. "These are my priorities now," he said quietly. 3 little girls who I love more than anything in the world." Something in Ming snapped. She stood up again, her face contorted with anger. "Those brats ruined everything," she shouted. "I had it all planned perfectly. Do you know how long I waited for the right moment to approach you? Years. I watched your career, your company valuation, everything. Ryan kept me informed about every woman you dated, making sure none of them got serious." In the adjacent room, Tasha and the lawyers exchanged triumphant glances as the recording equipment captured every word. "So you did know about my daughters all along," Marcus stated calmly. "Of course I knew. Why do you think I chose that specific bridal shop? I wanted to see the look on her face when she realized I was marrying you." Ming was pacing now, her voice getting louder. "Do you know how hard I worked to create the perfect image? To become the kind of woman a billionaire would marry? I deserved that wedding. I earned it. By lying to me for our entire relationship? It wasn't lying. It was strategic omission. You didn't need to know about those children. They would have complicated everything." "They're my daughters," Marcus said, his voice hard. "They're nothing but obstacles," Ming spat. "I had everything planned, the wedding, the prenup I would have amended later, the divorce after a few years when I'd be set for life." Ming suddenly stopped, seeming to realize what she had admitted. Her face paled. "Are we done here?" she asked stiffly. "Yes, Ming. We're definitely done." Marcus pressed a button on his desk phone. "Security will escort you out." In the Children's Museum across town, Aunt Susan watched the triplets gazing in wonder at colorful butterflies in the special exhibit. "They're so beautiful," Zoe whispered, watching a blue butterfly land on a flower. "Just like you 3, Susan told them, snapping photos to share with Marcus and Tasha later. Back at the office, Tasha entered the main room as Ming was being escorted out by security. She had heard every word of Ming's confession through the recording equipment. "We've got her," Marcus's lawyer said triumphantly. This recording destroys her lawsuit and gives us grounds for a countersuit for fraud. Will we have to go to court? Tasha asked. I doubt it, the lawyer said. Once her lawyer hears this recording, they'll withdraw the lawsuit immediately. Later that evening, as they drove home together, Marcus received a call from his lawyer. Ming's lawyer just called, he told Tasha after hanging up. They're withdrawing the lawsuit. It's over. The local news that night reported, social media influencer Ming Jiang drops lawsuit against tech billionaire Marcus Johnson. Sources say evidence of fraud prompted withdrawal. At home, after putting the girls to bed, Marcus and Tasha sat on the back porch swing in the cool evening air. The battle was over. Ming's threats were neutralized. For the first time since the dress shop incident, they could simply breathe. Thank you, Tasha said quietly. For what? Marcus asked. For fighting for our family, for not giving up or giving in. Marcus looked at her with surprise. Our family? Tasha nodded, a slight smile on her lips. That's what we are now, isn't it? A family. Unconventional maybe, but still a family. Yes, Marcus agreed. That's exactly what we are. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the porch swing moving gently. Their hands rested side by side on the swing, not quite touching but close enough to feel the warmth between them. Something changed for me, Tasha admitted softly. Watching you stand up for our daughters, seeing how much you love them. It changed how I see you. Marcus turned to face her. How do you see me now? As someone I might be ready to trust again, Tasha replied, with more than just co-parenting. As the house fell quiet and the stars appeared overhead, Marcus and Tasha sat together on the swing, their hands finally touching. The battle was won, but both sensed that the most important part of their journey together was just beginning. In the weeks that followed Ming's lawsuit withdrawal, the atmosphere in the house changed. There was a lightness, a sense of possibility that hadn't been there before. Marcus and Tasha moved beyond their cautious co-parenting arrangement into something that felt more natural, more like a real family. One morning, as they sat at the kitchen table after the girls had left for preschool, Marcus showed Tasha a news article on his tablet. Look at this, he said. Ming lost another major sponsor yesterday. That's the 5th one this month. The headline read, Fashion brand cuts ties with influencer Ming Jiang following fraud allegations. I don't feel sorry for her, Tasha admitted. She tried to keep you from your daughters for years. Marcus set down the tablet. Speaking of our daughters, I've been thinking about something important. I want to create a foundation in my mother's name. What kind of foundation? Tasha asked. The Katherine Johnson Foundation, Marcus explained. Dedicated to helping single parents with resources, support systems, flexible work solutions, all the things that would have made your life easier when the girls were babies. Tasha's eyes widened. That's a wonderful idea, Marcus. I want you to help me design it, he continued. You know better than anyone what single parents really need. I'd be honored, Tasha said sincerely. Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. There's something else I want to talk about. Your designs. My designs? The children's clothing sketches Eleanor mentioned. I'd like to see them. Tasha looked hesitant. They're just ideas, nothing special. Please? Marcus asked. I'd really like to see them. That evening, after the girls were asleep, Tasha brought a portfolio to the living room where Marcus was waiting. She handed it to him nervously. These are beautiful, Tasha, Marcus said as he flipped through the pages of colorful children's clothing designs. You have real talent. Thank you, Tasha said, sitting beside him on the couch. I've been sketching since the girls were babies. Sometimes it was the only creative outlet I had. Have you ever thought about turning these into an actual business? A children's clothing line? Tasha laughed softly. Every working mother has fantasies about starting her own business, but the reality is much harder. Not if you have the right backing, Marcus pointed out. I could invest in your line, handle the business side so you can focus on design." "You would do that?" "In a heartbeat," Marcus said. "I believe in your talent." Tasha considered his offer. "I would need to maintain creative control." "Absolutely," Marcus agreed quickly. "It would be your company, your vision. I'd just provide the startup capital and business expertise." After a few moments of thought, Tasha nodded. "Okay, let's do it." "Really?" Marcus looked surprised at her quick decision. "Life's too short to wait for the perfect moment," Tasha said. "If the last few months have taught me anything, it's that." "What would you call it? Your line?" Marcus asked. Tasha smiled. "Triple Joy, named for our daughters." The following week, Tasha showed Eleanor her business plan for Triple Joy. "This is exactly what I hoped you'd do," Eleanor said happily. "And I have the perfect spot in the shop to display your first collection right near the front window." "Ooh, you'd do that for me?" Tasha asked, touched by the offer. "Of course," Eleanor patted her hand. "You've been like a daughter to me these past years. It's time the world saw your talent." As they built their separate careers, Marcus and Tasha's personal relationship continued to evolve. Each evening after the girls were asleep, they would sit together on the back porch or in the living room, talking about their days and sharing stories from the 7 years they'd been apart. "Tell me about the day they were born," Marcus asked one night as they sat on the porch swing. Tasha smiled at the memory. It was terrifying. "I went into labor 5 weeks early. The doctor had told me to expect twins, so when they said there was a third baby, I thought I was hallucinating." "You were alone?" Marcus asked softly. "Eleanor was with me," Tasha said. "She held my hand the entire time. 36 hours of labor." Marcus shook his head in wonder. "You're the strongest person I know, Tasha." As the weeks passed, the triplets continued to flourish with both parents actively involved in their lives. Each girl's personality became more distinct. Zoe showed artistic talent like her mother, often sitting beside Tasha as she sketched designs. Zara demonstrated technical skills similar to Marcus, taking apart her toys to see how they worked. Zoe revealed natural leadership, organizing her sisters and preschool friends into elaborate games. One afternoon, they attended a parent-teacher conference at the girls' preschool. Mrs. Peterson, the lead teacher, welcomed them into her classroom. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, thank you for coming," she said with a warm smile. Neither Marcus nor Tasha corrected her assumption that they were married. They exchanged a quick glance but said nothing. "The girls are doing wonderfully," Mrs. Peterson continued. "They're bright, social, and very supportive of each other. You have a beautiful family." "Thank you," Marcus said, his voice filled with pride. Later, as they walked to the car, Tasha said quietly, "That's the first time someone has called us a family." "How did it feel?" Marcus asked. "Good," Tasha admitted. "Really good." One rainy Tuesday morning in October, Marcus met with his lawyers to update his will and company documents. He formally named his daughters as beneficiaries and established trusts for their future. "This feels significant," he told Derek afterward. "More important than any business deal I've ever made." "It is," Derek agreed. "You're securing their future." That same afternoon, Tasha called Marcus from the preschool parking lot. "My car won't start," she said, frustration clear in her voice. "I'm supposed to pick up the girls in 15 minutes. "I'll get them," Marcus assured her. "Then I'll come back and look at your car." After picking up the triplets and bringing them home to Aunt Susan, who had come for a visit, Marcus returned to Tasha's car. Instead of calling a tow truck as she expected, he rolled up his sleeves and opened the hood himself. "I didn't know you could fix cars," Tasha said, watching him work. "I grew up without much money," Marcus explained. "I had to learn to fix things myself. My first car was more rust than metal." 2 hours later, Marcus had repaired the problem. A faulty alternator he replaced with a part from the auto store. Why didn't you just buy me a new car? Tasha asked as they drove home together. I know you could afford it. Because I know you wouldn't want that, Marcus said simply. You value what you've worked for. I respect that about you. Tasha looked at him with new appreciation. You really do understand me, don't you? I'm trying to, he said honestly. The following weekend, Marcus appeared at Tasha's door in the east wing of their shared home. He looked nervous, holding a small bouquet of flowers. These are for you, he said, handing her the flowers. Thank you, Tasha said, surprised. What's the occasion? Marcus took a deep breath. I was wondering if you would have dinner with me tomorrow night. Just the two of us. Are you asking me on a date? Tasha asked, a smile playing at her lips. Yes, Marcus admitted. Our first real date in 7 years. Where would we go? I thought we could go to Westfield Cafe, Marcus suggested, where we first met. Tasha's eyes softened at the memory. You remember. Of course I remember, Marcus said. You spilled coffee on my economics textbook, then insisted on buying me a new one even though you were a broke art student. And you said you'd only accept a replacement if I let you buy me dinner, Tasha finished. Is that a yes? Marcus asked hopefully. Tasha smiled fully now. Yes, Marcus. I'd love to have dinner with you. As Tasha accepted his invitation to dinner, just the two of them for the first time in 7 years, Marcus realized that building a billion-dollar company had been simple compared to rebuilding a relationship with the mother of his children. But unlike his business success, this was a challenge whose reward would be measured in something far more valuable than money. 6 months passed after their first date at Westfield Cafe. That night had marked a new beginning for Marcus and Tasha, opening the door to a relationship that grew slowly and carefully, always with their daughter's well-being as the priority. On a warm Saturday morning in April, Marcus stood in the kitchen making breakfast while Tasha sat at the island counter, reviewing orders for Triple Joy, her children's clothing line that had taken off beyond her expectations. The department store wants to double their order for summer, Tasha said, looking up from her laptop. I'm going to need more staff. Marcus flipped a pancake with practiced ease. That's wonderful news. I told you those designs were special. I never imagined it would happen so fast, Tasha admitted. 3 major department stores carrying my designs, and now these online orders from across the country. You did that, Marcus said proudly. I just provided the capital. The success is all yours. Their conversation was interrupted by the thunder of small feet as the triplets ran into the kitchen, still in their pajamas. Daddy! Is today the day? Zoe asked excitedly. Are we going to Disney World? Marcus laughed. Yes, princess. Today's the day. Our plane leaves at noon. The girls cheered, jumping up and down. The trip to Disney World had been planned for months as a special celebration for their 5th birthday. First, breakfast, Tasha reminded them. Then we finish packing. The car will be here in 2 hours. Over breakfast, Marcus watched his family with quiet happiness. The past 6 months had brought changes to all their lives. He had restructured his work schedule completely, stepping back from daily operations at his company to focus on special projects and innovation, while Derek handled the CEO responsibilities. Tasha had launched Triple Joy with great success, her designs for children's formal and playwear winning praise from fashion critics and parents alike. Most importantly, they had built a relationship based on mutual respect, shared parenting, and growing love. They took things slowly, careful not to rush or pressure each other. They had separate bedrooms still, though they often fell asleep talking on the couch after the girls went to bed. Disney World was everything the triplets had dreamed about. They spent 5 magical days exploring the parks, meeting princesses, riding gentle rides, and watching parades. Marcus took hundreds of photos, determined to document every moment of joy on his daughters' faces. On their final night after a full day at Magic Kingdom, the girls were exhausted. They had watched the early evening parade and were now fast asleep in their strollers as Marcus and Tasha found a spot to view the fireworks. They couldn't quite make it, could they? Tasha said softly, looking at their sleeping daughters. They had a perfect day, Marcus replied, adjusting Zoe's blanket. And honestly, it might be nice to watch the fireworks, just the two of us. They found a quiet spot away from the largest crowds. As they waited for the show to begin, Marcus seemed nervous, checking his pocket several times. "Is everything okay?" Tasha asked. "Perfect," Marcus assured her, "just making sure I didn't lose something." The fireworks began, lighting up the night sky in brilliant colors. Halfway through the show, Marcus turned to Tasha. "I need to ask you something," he said, his voice serious. Tasha turned away from the fireworks to look at him. "What is it?" Marcus took her hand. "These past months have shown me what really matters in life. Before I met you again at the bridal shop, I thought success was measured by what I owned or what I'd achieved. Now I know it's measured by who we love and how we love them." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Tasha's eyes widened. "Marcus." He opened the box to reveal a simple but elegant diamond ring. "I'm not asking you to marry me to complete our family. We're already a family. I'm asking because I love you, Tasha. I've loved you for years, even when we were apart." Tears filled Tasha's eyes as the fireworks continued to burst overhead. "Will you marry me?" Marcus asked. "Yes," Tasha whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger, then leaned forward to kiss her as the fireworks reached their spectacular finale. They told the girls their news the next morning at breakfast in their hotel room. "Mommy and I have something to tell you," Marcus began. "We're going to get married." The triplets looked at them with identical expressions that seemed more curious than surprised. "Does that mean you'll live together forever?" Zoe asked. Tasha smiled. "We already live together, sweetie, but yes, we'll be married like other mommies and daddies." "Will you wear a princess dress like at your work?" Zara asked Tasha. "A simple dress," Tasha said. "Nothing too fancy." Zoe, always the most observant, said, "Daddy looks at you the way princes look at princesses in our books. I knew you would get married." Marcus laughed. "You did, huh?" Zoe nodded solemnly. It was obvious. They decided on a small private ceremony in the backyard of their home. No elaborate preparations, no hundreds of guests, just close friends and family, focused on the 5 of them becoming an official family. Eleanor helped Tasha design a simple but elegant wedding dress that was the opposite of the elaborate gown she had once altered for Ming. "No beading, no 20-foot train," Tasha said as they sketched. "Just clean lines and beautiful fabric." "It will be perfect," Eleanor promised. Each of the triplets had a special role in the ceremony. Zoe would carry flowers, Zara the rings, and Zoe, who had the most confidence, would lead her sisters down the aisle. The morning of the wedding dawned clear and bright. Marcus got ready in his wing of the house while Tasha prepared in hers, helped by Eleanor and Susan. "Nervous?" Susan asked as she fastened a delicate necklace around Tasha's neck. "Strangely, no," Tasha replied. "This feels right. Like everything has finally fallen into place." The ceremony was everything they wanted. Simple, meaningful, and centered on their family. When it came time for vows, Marcus spoke from the heart. "Tasha, I promise to love you and our daughters every day of my life. I promise to be the husband and father you all deserve." Our path to this day wasn't traditional, but it led us exactly where we were meant to be. Tasha's voice was steady as she replied, "Marcus, I promise to love you and trust you completely, to build our future together with honesty and respect. Thank you for showing me that sometimes life gives second chances when we least expect them." After the ceremony, a small reception was held under a tent in their backyard. When it was time for gifts, Marcus handed Tasha an envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it," he encouraged. Inside was a deed to a storefront in downtown Chicago, perfect for Triple Joy's first retail location. "Marcus," Tasha gasped, "this is too much." "It's exactly enough," he said. "Your business is growing. You need a proper store, not just department store space." Tasha hugged him tightly, then handed him a gift of her own, a handmade scrapbook bound in soft leather. Marcus opened it to find photos documenting the triplets' lives from birth through their current age. Their first smiles, first steps, first day of preschool, all the moments he had missed were preserved on these pages. The final section had recent photos of all 5 of them together. "I kept these for myself," Tasha explained, "to remember every milestone. But they belong to you too." Marcus turned to the last pages and found them blank. "Those are for the memories we'll make together," Tasha said softly. 1 month after their wedding, on a lazy Sunday morning, chaos reigned in the kitchen. Flour dusted every surface as Marcus attempted to make pancakes with the triplets' help. Zoe was carefully adding chocolate chips, her tongue sticking out in concentration. Zara was explaining that the batter needed exactly 10 more stirs to be perfect. Zoe was directing the entire operation from her perch on a kitchen stool. Tasha entered the kitchen and burst out laughing. "What happened in here?" "We're making you breakfast, Mommy," Zoe announced proudly. "I can see that," Tasha said, kissing each flory face. "Daddy let the batter get lumpy," Zoe reported seriously. "I was overruled by the pancake committee," Marcus explained, wiping flour from his cheek. As they sat down to eat their imperfect but lovingly made breakfast, Marcus looked around the table at his family. Zoe with her artistic soul, already sketching designs like her mother. Zara with her analytical mind, figuring out how everything worked. Zoe with her natural leadership, keeping her sisters in line. And Tasha, the incredible woman who had raised these amazing children alone and now shared this beautiful life with him. This, he realized, was his true legacy. Not the technology empire he had built or the billions in his bank accounts, but these 4 people who had taught him what really mattered. This beautiful chaos was worth more than any success he had achieved before. "What are you thinking about, Daddy?" Zoe asked, noticing his expression. Marcus smiled at his daughter. "I'm thinking that this is the best breakfast I've ever had." And it was true. As flour dusted the countertops and giggles filled their kitchen, Marcus watched his family, Tasha helping Zoe flip a pancake, Zara calculating the perfect chocolate chip-to-batter ratio, and Zoe directing the entire operation, and understood with perfect clarity that this beautiful chaos was his true legacy, worth infinitely more than the empire he had built before he knew what really mattered. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen.